Hello, everyone. It is week number 8 in Science 200. It is our final week together. So, with that being said, let's see what we've got going on and what we had going on last week. So, last week, you made your speaker's notes for your presentation that you're making. Hopefully, you already made an outline of your slides that you're going to present to me. So that you could put speaker's notes together. I'll be taking a look at those speaker's notes as quickly as I can this week to get those graded and get those given back to you so that you can make revisions if you need to. We'll talk about what to do with those in just a minute. The interesting things that I think that you learn from your topics, from what I have read in your week 6 discussion board postings, are very interesting. GMOs. A lot of you had questions about health concerns surrounding GMOs, and I think most of you found that there really haven't been any health concerns that they have discovered from eating GMOs. And the reason for this is because when you look at what a genetically modified organism is, there's only 1 or 2 genes that have been changed in this corn plant or soybean plant or apple or whatever it is to make a GMO. And that gave that plant extra characteristics like herbicide resistance or increased nutritional value or whatever it was. And so basically the only thing that you're going to get from a GMO is maybe an allergy. I know that some people said maybe they're toxins. I have not seen that anywhere in anything that I've looked at, and I've been interested in this topic since we began with GMOs in the 1990s. So I have seen nothing along those lines, and you have found nothing like that. Electric vehicles, they are great. They're being purported to be environmentally friendly. And then I think what you've discovered is that you got a couple of issues there. One is the batteries. They wear out pretty quickly and they're very expensive. Also, how they're made. Lithium has to be mined in order to make these batteries. Then how do you dispose of them? Do you just put them in a landfill? Lithium can be a pollutant, so that's not good. Can you recycle them? Can you make them into something else? And you have found, yes, you can do that. You can recycle, you can reuse. The other issue is this going to be a drain on the power grid? Do we have enough electricity coming from your electrical, any kind of electricity source like your power plants to run all of these electric vehicles? I think that is going to be a concern moving forward. I guess we'll see. Because we have more and more electric vehicles on the road. You see more of those charging stations everywhere. Biodiversity conservation, I think you figure out in biodiversity conservation that it's human actions that have changed the biodiversity on the planet. We are requiring more and more area for habitation. You see this everywhere if you live in a place like I do. More and more and more and more construction and just tearing down more and more forest. That's what I see in my area, to make way for new schools and new subdivisions, etc., etc. And you're losing biodiversity. You're losing all kinds of species because you're destroying their habitats. And we have to fix that. Some of you concentrated on the rainforest, and this has been a particular area of concern because the rainforests are a huge carbon sink, and so they take up a lot of carbon dioxide from the environment, from the atmosphere, and help us take care of that extra carbon dioxide that we're putting in the atmosphere from the burning of fossil fuels. And now we're destroying rainforests. That has switched, especially in Brazil, with the political climate there. They have new politicians in that do value the rainforest, so that is shifting in a better direction than it was. Another thing that goes along with that is that if these countries would consider ecotourism instead of just slashing and burning the forest, they could make a lot of money because there are a lot of people who are interested in going to these areas and exploring them. So that's an alternative to slash and burn. Ocean acidification, I think you found out that the reason that the pH of the ocean is decreasing is because of the burning of fossil fuels. And all that carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is diffusing into the ocean water, and that's making the ocean sort of like a carbonated beverage. And it's destroying coral reefs and marine life in all different forms, and it is having a devastating effect on the ocean. Genetic engineering is a good topic. I think that you have found out that this is not being done in human beings right now because it is not ethical. We haven't figured out how we should be doing this. If we're going to manipulate the genes in human beings, whether they're adults or embryos, we've got to figure out a way to do this ethically. Who is going to decide which genes can be changed? Who is going to decide if you do this in an embryo? If you take out a disease gene, is this going to be okay? Are you going to have other effects from that? You know, there are a lot of ethical issues there, and I think that you discovered that. Then we had some other issues that y'all have brought up, climate change and that sort of thing. There are several that were interesting and new and different, from PTSD to heart disease to fossil commercialization. I've seen quite a few different topics this time. Microplastics and how they pollute the waterways. Lots of great topics, and I think you learned a lot in this term as you researched your topic. So, what do we have going on this week? First of all, you got discussion board postings. What were the challenges in presenting to your particular audience? So if you were talking to teenagers, then how did you sculpt your presentation to make it into a form where they could understand it? If you were presenting to experts in the field, then how were you fashioning your presentation where they would respond to it? So there are some challenges. And were your sources helpful in addressing your audience? Could you use statistics from them? Could you use good information from them? I hope so. I hope that's why you chose the sources. So that is due, your initial post is due by Thursday night, and then by Sunday night you have 2 response posts that are due to 2 classmates. And then analyze the similarities and differences you had in presenting to your different audiences. Maybe you chose the same audience. Maybe you chose totally different audiences. So how were your experiences different in looking at your audience and fashioning your presentation toward that particular group? Complete the exercises in Chapter 8 in your Sumo web text. There's another peer-reviewed article in there. And if you will notice, remember I said this last week, if you see lots of statistics, lots of numbers, you know that that is probably a scientific article. Because if I say that 30% of the oil leaked out from the Deepwater Horizon oil spill has not been accounted for in any way, I've got to show that, right? I can't just say 30%. I've got to show that I know where that number comes from, right? So you know that's probably a scientific article. So complete the exercises in Chapter 8 about the Deepwater Horizon oil spill, your last one. This has been an interesting topic to delve into because you can see all kinds of the science behind this topic. Everything from BP not wanting the scientists to be included in information gathering and figuring out a solution to this problem, to glazing over how big the problem was, to how to solve the problem. So you saw science in action through this particular ecological horrific event that happened. We're still feeling the effects of it, I promise. So finish up your Chapter 8 in your Sumo web text. Then you're making your final presentation, 5 to 7 slides. You can always have an introductory slide. You don't count the references slide. So 5 to 7 slides about the information in your topic, okay? So you're going to make these slides in PowerPoint, in Google Slides, in Canva, in Prezi, you know, however, wherever you want to. It is important to include graphics and data. If you just slap your information on a slide, that is not a good slide. And I'm taking off points. I promise you that. Because that is not a good slide. You have to have graphics. You have to have data. You have to have something that is powerful and shows your audience what it is that you're going to talk about. Then at the bottom of the slide, if you're making a PowerPoint presentation, you cut and paste your speaker's notes for that slide and put that on the bottom of your slide. If you're making a Prezi presentation, then you're going to have to add a Word document. Please don't everybody add a Word document, because I should be able to see the speaker's notes on the slide. Most of you are going to use PowerPoint. So put those speaker's notes on the slide, not in a separate document. Otherwise, I got 5 things open on my poor old computer screen at one time to try to figure out what is happening. Make bullet points for your information, because the bullet points are just going to remind you about what you're talking about. You notice that I don't ever read what's on the slides. They're there just to help me and also to help you figure out what I'm going to talk about, but they're there just to remind me what I'm going to be talking about. Make bullet points, use graphics, use data, include images that are powerful, right? So if you're talking about ocean acidification and death of coral reefs, you're going to have a before and after picture of coral reefs. Before when they were nice and healthy, and after now when they're dying. And there is a tremendous difference in the look of a coral reef after it has died. So those are some ways that you can work on your slides and make them good presentation slides. And then finally, there you go, thank you. Slide 4. My final thoughts and tasks. If you think you need to take an incomplete, you need to tell me absolutely before the end of the term. And remember, I told you last week, you have to have successfully completed 70% of the coursework in order to be granted an incomplete from the registrar. I make the application to the registrar approves or disapproves it. So just know, if I don't check off that box that 70% of your coursework has been completed successfully, they will not grant you an incomplete. If you're interested in this, you got to let me know before the term ends, and that means next Sunday. So, also, please fill out your course evaluations, because this helps me as an instructor. It tells me what I'm doing right, tells me what I'm doing wrong. That's where you have a place to give feedback. Also, it helps my team lead who supervises me and my dean who also supervises me. So please do fill out those course evaluations. They're really important, and they're important to me. So please do that for me. The last day to turn in any work whatsoever is Sunday, October the 22nd. It's coming Sunday at 11:59 p.m. After that, you will not be able to upload anything. I will not be able to upload anything. All I can do is grade for the next 2 days, which will be massive. I'm not kidding. And so, please get your work turned in. There is no way for me to add anything to the course or you. So you have to get everything turned in by the deadline. If you have any issues whatsoever that we need to deal with, you need to tell me before the end of the term so that we can solve the problem before time runs out. I wish you all the best. It's been a great term this time. I've loved your topics. I've loved what you've discovered about your topics and what you've learned in the course through the web text too, because it's a really good web text, and I love the examples that they give you. I wish you all the best of luck in your finishing up your degrees and then going on into your careers that you're interested in. I love for you to keep in contact with me. There's my email address, m.sigmon@snhu.edu. I give good references if you need a reference to another school, say for a master's degree or an internship. I've had students be quite successful with getting internships in areas that they're interested in and in going to graduate school. So consider that if you need help from me later on. And with that being said, I hope that you have a wonderful week 8, and it has been my extreme pleasure to have you in the course.